Hey everybody, you got Nathan Duce here, Homestar Financial. Today I'm joined again by Tangie Evans, Heritage Oaks Realty, and today we want to talk about a couple of things that you can do as a home buyer to make the process go smooth and easy, and we got a couple of tips that we're going to share with you today. So first of all, tell you a little bit about Tangie. Tangie's been a real estate investor for like 20 years here in Douglas County. Yep. If you guys are out here, you may know that she comes from a long line of investors and successful. And anyway, she's been doing real estate for the last 4 or 5 years, and she's a fantastic buyer's agent, listing agent. So if you're looking to get your property sold out here in West Georgia, definitely recommend catch up with Tangie. She knows her stuff. She knows what she's talking about. So today we want to get into talking about like things that you and I see all the time, but maybe first-time home buyer, you might not have thought about as like, hey, this is something maybe I should or shouldn't do, right? So first thing, Tangie, is I want to talk about credit, right?
Right.
So like, what can you fill me in on that?
Well, you want to go ahead and make sure that your credit is pretty strong when you're getting ready to buy a house.
Okay.
We don't want you on the edge of the approval limits where it's 630, but you're a 620.
So are you saying that if like I'm renting, I shouldn't wait until I get that eviction notice to start saying, hey, Tangie, I need you to help me buy a house, and oh, by the way, my credit just got wrecked?
No. Go ahead and let me know early on that you're ready to buy a few months in advance, 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and get that credit score up to where when you call Nathan, he can say, hey, I think you're ready. So let's get started.
A couple easy pointers there is if you've got revolving credit cards with like maybe a small credit limit, like a $500 or $1,000 or a $2,000 credit limit, you really want to get the balances on those credit cards below 30% and ideally 10%. 10% or below is really the sweet spot to optimize those credit scores. And we've seen customers that have been able to improve their scores 40, 50, 60 points just by paying down a credit card with maybe like a $750 credit limit and maybe a $700 balance down to like 20 bucks. And get a huge boost, and that will really help you optimize your credit score that you can get. It's going to get you the best terms out there. It's going to help you save on closing costs. So if you've got a little bit of foresight and a little bit of extra cash, work on paying those credit cards down, get them all below 30%, and if possible, get them below 10%. That's really going to help make it that when you go talk to that loan officer for the first time, you're going to get the best offerings available on the market.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
Number two that I wanted to talk about is something that we see all the time. So once you get like thinking about buying a house, right? And you're like, okay, I know I got to get out of this apartment. This is not where I want to be, and I need to find the right kind of place. Well, we have this phrase, that's right, when you're shopping on a beer budget and you've got champagne taste, right? Like something we see all the time. So what is that?
Well, it's when you have expectations of what your dream house is going to look like, but your budget is just a little bit below that. We want you to be comfortable when buying your house, so you want to shop at your comfortable budget.
Yes.
That's where we want you to shop at.
And one of the things that's going to make the process easy for you is if you just, basically what we're saying is you want to make sure you got your expectations set with the realities of what that house is going to cost you, right? And so, if you're out there looking at $500, $600, $700,000 houses, well, you better expect to be paying, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a house payment. And if, you were expecting like $2,500 a month, well, you need to adjust your price point down and be looking at houses that will fit that price range for you.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
And that can really cause a lot of stress as a home buyer, which will lead us into the next thing, right? Which is, flexibility when you're buying a house, right?
Yeah. You want to go ahead and have realistic expectations for your budget. You may want the biggest house with the most bedrooms and the most bathrooms, but you may be more comfortable with a smaller house and a little fewer bathrooms.
So you're saying I could be cruising around like an 8 Series BMW, or I could get like a Kia, Forte or something like that, right?
Especially if the BMW is going to keep you up at night because the payment's too much.
Right. So one of the things that is really important to do is when you're looking for a house is flexibility can make all the difference in the world between whether you're ending up in a new house that fits your needs and your living situation for you, your family, or whoever that might be, whether you can find yourself in a house in the next couple of months, or you might be 2 or 3 years down the road still looking for that perfect house, right? So a lot, buying a house here in America is like the American dream, right? Everybody wants to have their dream house.
Right.
But there's also some expectations that probably need to be tempered. I know when I was looking for a specific house, I had to say, okay, I've got this many bodies in the house that need this many bedrooms,
Right.
and I have this many things that I need to accommodate. So we are able to structure, okay, well, I've got to have square footage, I've got to have a certain bedroom count, maybe a garage count, things like that. And we've seen customers that have said, oh, well, it's got to have, like you got a master checklist, right?
Right,
And
the must-haves and
the must-haves.
can't-haves, yeah.
And when you look online to see how many houses have that, you might have like 2 that meet all those requirements. Whereas
Right.
if you say, hey, let's scale back, okay, well, maybe we can do, instead of a 3-car garage, we can get by with a 2-car garage, right? Maybe
Right.
instead of having a swimming pool in the backyard, maybe we can shelf that and just find a house that's maybe got a walkout basement or something like that, right?
You can put a pool in a backyard.
Yeah. You're right. So you can always you'll do things that you want to the house later. The most
Right.
important thing is getting into a home that's going to fit your needs right away, right? And I've had customers that, like, for example, I had someone that was pre-approved back in 2018 when you could still get a house for $150,000, no problem, out here in Douglas County. And they qualified, and they had a very specific list of things, and here we are 4 years later, and they still don't have a house because they've just been so inflexible. And quite honestly, right, if they would have bought anything in 2018,
And stayed in it just 2 years.
yeah, just 2 years.
They
Now
could've
here we are
cashed out
4
real
years
good.
later, you'd be cashing out a bunch of money,
Right,
and they could certainly get
right.
more options for them. So,
Yeah.
well, that's great. Well, thank you, Tangie. So basically, we want to try to optimize our credit first, right?
Get ready.
We want to shop within our budget and have the right expectations for what those are going to run, right?
Right.
And just make sure that you're flexible and real with what those houses are going to have when you start looking. And I will throw one more in here, right?
Yeah.
If you are not the final decision maker, make sure that those people are involved in the home buying process with
Yes.
you, right?
Yes.
So I know as a guy, if I went out and said, hey, I want to buy a house, and my wife hasn't seen that house,
Yeah. It could be a problem.
you might want to make sure she, if you got to buy a plane ticket and fly her out here, make sure
Right.
that's taking place. We got all kinds of cars zipping by here. But I just had a customer that closed on a home, and literally the next week after they moved in, got the phone call, hey, we made the wrong decision. This isn't going to work because we weren't all on the same page. And that's not an easy conversation to have, and it can put you in a tough spot financially, right? Likewise, if you have in-laws, parents that also part of the deal,
Yeah.
right? In-laws, parents.
Even if they're not part of the deal.
You might
sometimes-
say, oh my gosh, I love this place. And then dad comes to check out the place and he's like, what on earth are you thinking?
Yeah.
There's no way you're living here,
Right.
So make sure those folks are involved. Tangie, thank you so much for coming
thank you
out.
for
We got
having me.
it's a nice spring day here, and the sun's
Yep.
out after just a week of rain. And I think there's a lot of folks out there looking to buy some houses. So if you're
That's
one
right.
of them, think about, if you have an agent, awesome. If you don't, give Tangie a call. We're gonna have her contact information here on the comments and the
I'd love to
tagged
work
on the
with you
post.
guys.
Message us out if you have any other information that you want to add that might be helpful for somebody else, as far as things that would help make a process easier for someone to buy a house. Thank you so much, guys. Nathan here at Homestar with Tangie, Heritage Oaks Realty. Have a great day.